So in one way, I think MyX Fitness did it better. In the second way, I think they didn't do it as well. But that remains to be seen. So really what they say is all you have to do is kind of tap this on a few times, that gets it going. And then you're gonna have a bolt that goes in the back side of the crankshaft into the pedal. Now notice that it does have blue Loctite on it, so you may or may not want to use some extra blue Loctite. This seems to be traditionally threaded, so right tight. And then you're gonna use your Allen wrench and tighten that back down. And this is one of the maybe only applications on this bike where I would pay attention to torque specifications. I don't have those in front of me, so look that up online or consult with MyX Fitness on the torque that you actually want for these pedals. What I would say is it's going to be hard to over torque these because you're actually seating that shaft back into the crankshaft, so you don't want these nice and tight. But let me just kind of be the first one to warn you that you're taking these off. It's not a screw operation. Theoretically, you can take off the caps and take the whole pedal off. The shaft will still be there. You may find another pedal that'll work on that shaft, but if you notice, these pedals are a lot wider than typical pedals, so that shaft is either going to stick out farther or not as far as you need. So I would try to replace the whole pedal. Now here, if you look at the bottom of the look pedal, it shows you plus and minus for tension. On the MyX Fitness Bike, I honestly didn't think there was a setting for tension. This is the first time I'm seeing that, but I would guess the same Allen wrench that we've used other places, nope, it's even smaller, has a tension factor that you can put on your bindings. So I noticed my bindings were a little bit loose than I'm typically comfortable with. I want a nice tight binding so it doesn't move around much. I'm not worried I'm gonna fall off my bike and need to get up quickly. So I would go ahead and tighten that binding up so it's nice and snug on my shoe. When you're doing this, it's important to make sure that the basket is facing the direction that you want. I've heard of several complaints where it was professionally installed and they installed the wrong pedal on the wrong side, and if that was the case, the basket's going to be facing the wrong direction. So when you put these on, just make sure your basket's going in the right direction. You should be good. It recommends that you move the shaft to the bottom of the bike in order to insert it. So this one's going to be on the other side. Make sure you can see that really well. Again, put that on. So I'm noticing a difference here already. This pedal shaft is really tight within the pedal. This pedal shaft felt more loose. And maybe that has to do with screwing the cap on tight. I'm not exactly sure. I would get the pedals on, go back and adjust the tension inside the pedal for that shaft to make sure that it freely moves. Here I don't see a lot of that extra hair that was built up on the other side. So I think this one's ready to go on. Throw that on. Just a couple taps. You don't want to damage the pedal or the bike. And then again, you've got your set screw that goes in the bottom. You basically only need to get that pedal on far enough to get the screw in, and the screw will do all the adjustments. Again, this is the same 10, well, this is an 8mm. Yeah, this is an 8mm Allen wrench. So this is where I use the second Allen wrench size. I'm at an awkward angle here, so a little bit harder to show this. Not the right one. Let me try back here. Yeah, 8 fits, but it's real tight. And again, this is one you really want to do by torque, because I've already tightened this side up and I go back, and when I put a torque on it, it still keeps tightening. So I would really pay attention to the strength that you're attaching these equals that with torque specifications from MyX Fitness. I don't know what those are off the top of my head, but we will look those up, put it in the video feed at the bottom of the video, so you'll know those torque specifications when you go to install your pedals. So that's basically it, folks. Again, I like the fact they're using SPD pedals. I like the fact that I can use a regular athletic shoe or biking pedals. I don't love the shaft configuration there. It makes it harder to switch these pedals out for something else. But because they're using the right clip-on system and have the ability to use regular shoes, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to run and replace those shoes unless you're a professional biker and have a different setup that you want. Again, I think the other one that's sort of popular is the look binding. But then there's also power sensors that you can get, power pedals that you can get that have different sensors built into them that can adjust or can monitor watts of usage or speed or cadence, instead of putting on like one of these little cadence sensors that we have here. Now, if you get the MyX Fitness version 2 bike, this cadence sensor is built into the crankshaft, so you won't see this extra part out. A disadvantage of putting the sensor on is that eventually you'll have to change out that battery. So when you get the second version of this bike, that sensor is built into it and it's a little bit better setup. But I think this is maybe one of the things that most people look at is, how do I change the pedals? Or more commonly, how do I put the pedal back on the right side of the bike? Because initially it was installed backwards. So looks like you're just gonna need an 8mm Allen wrench. You'll be able to take off that bolt. Once the bolt is off, put your Allen wrench in and pound that pedal out. And don't be afraid to use a little power when you do that. Again, that shaft is in there pretty tight, so you kind of have to dislodge it. But when you go to put the pedal back on, you're going to screw it into a tension, and that's what's going to keep the pedal on tight. So this is probably one of our longer videos, but again, this is the one that comes up a lot when I was searching how to configure this bike, and it's just not a real easy solution for the pedals. I would stick to what they have and get real good SPD shoes and bindings to use for it. All right, at this point we have everything done. I'll go ahead and cut the video off here. The only thing left to do is power this guy on and show you what it's going to take to update the operating system, and hopefully that works first shot. But I've heard some stories where that works every time, half the time. So we'll see what happens here. Thanks everybody, hope this helps.